Okay, Todd's giving me the thumbs up. You guys are all set.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. This is Council President Stacy Kelly. We're going to begin our committee meetings today. It's Tuesday, May 26th at 6:08 p.m. And we'll start with the Rules, Ethics, and Ordinances Committee.
Thank you. Not being able to see who's in the room, do I have my other two members present? So, Tom, Pat, are you both here?
I'm here, Rick. Councilman Elliott is here.
Okay, so with that, let's convene at 6:08 and all present. As you probably saw what I sent around today, I have only one thing in the folder, and that was a recommendation for the Hall of Fame. The young lady being nominated recently graduated in 2013 from Normandy High School. She is a nutrition and culinary expert, getting a degree now at, I believe, Tri-C, employed by the Cleveland Clinic. And it looks like her background, her experience, and her goal is to work in healthy nutrition recommendations and food preparation for people who have medical conditions, something that I'm now unfortunately very familiar with. Have you both been able to look at the attachment that was sent out? Hello?
Rick, I looked at it briefly.
Okay, Pat?
I did look at it, and I'm all for it. I think she should be a great candidate.
Okay, and you, Tom?
Ditto, I think she would be a great candidate.
All right. Does anybody want to make a recommendation? I agree with you both.
I'll make a motion to accept this young lady as part of as a candidate for the Hall of Fame committee. I'll second that.
Okay, all in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Is there any opposition? I hear none. And therefore, we will make a recommendation to council that she be added on to the next agenda for the June HOF appointment. I'm not being, I don't have a transmittal here in front of me. Do either of you have a transmittal, or can maybe we would ask Carol to prepare the transmittal?
I'll be happy to prepare it.
Okay. Thank you, Carol.
You're welcome.
All right. Is there anything else for the Rules Committee? Council as a whole?
Chairman?
Is there anything? I'm sorry. Is there anything from anybody on this line for the Rules Committee to consider? Okay, hearing no one, I will make a motion to adjourn the Rules Committee at 6:11.
Councilman Elliott, I will second that.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Tom? Great. Okay, thanks, everybody. We're adjourned at 6:11.
Thank you, Chairman. Just as a reminder to all council folks, just make sure to announce your name before you speak, in keeping with the sunshine rules, and it also helps Carol when she's transcribing our notes. Thank you. Okay, we're going to move on to Parks and Recreation, please.
This is Norman Martin. The members, Stacy Kelly and Pat Elliott. Right, you're there, right?
I'm here.
Oh,
Stacy.
I'm here. Councilman Elliott is here.
thank you. This is Norman Martin again. There's nothing in our folder for this evening. Do any members of the Parks and Rec Committee have any items for tonight?
Councilman Elliott, I have none.
Councilman Kelly, I have none.
Okay. Recreational Director Jen Berger, do you have anything to add?
As of this morning, the rec center is back open.
Thank you. Any comments from members of council or the mayor?
Councilman Elliott?
Yes.
I'm glad to see it's back open. I've had a lot of calls and concerns from residents that they want to get back to working out, so I'm very happy that it's reopened. Thank you, Chen Berger.
Any additional comments?
This is Richard Pignatello. I have a question for the mayor. Mayor, do we want to
Go ahead.
bring up anything to do with this levy that we're going to propose?
I intend to do it in finance.
Okay.
Do you have a preference, law director?
No, not really.
All right, we'll defer to finance then. Not here.
Well, I'll suggest no. I'll defer. This is Mayor Bianciato. I'll defer to the council president. I sent out some high-level facts about a potential ballot initiative. I'd like to introduce it to council this evening. What is the desire of the council president? Which committee would you like it introduced in?
I'm okay with doing it now as long as it's okay with the chairman.
No problem. Mayor, I'll defer
Okay.
to you. You want to finance do that?
Pardon, Chairman Martin?
Yeah, go ahead and defer to finance if that's your wish.
I'm okay with that. This is Stacy. Oh wait, we'll hold it for finance. That's no problem.
Okay, Norm Martin again. Any other comments from any other council members? Hearing none, I move we can go ahead and close the meeting at 5:54. I mean, time is it?
6:14.
6:14. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. Okay, we're moving on to planning.
This is Councilman Snitsky for Planning, Zoning, and Economic Development. Both of my members, Rick Delaquila and Phil Cariasis, are here. I have nothing in my folder. I don't know if the city engineer or the service director want to make any comment on anything that's going on in the city as far as planning and zoning. If they do, now's their chance. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is Engineer Collins. Nothing to report this evening.
Okay, Engineer Collins. I don't have anything pertinent in my folder. I had one question about an agenda item. This is probably as good a time as any, and it's basically for the engineer, and now I can't find my note here. Oh, ordinance number 19/2020. I have no problem that going for 3 readings. I believe that is to set up the pump station, have the county supervise the pump station in Hemlock Creek. The only question I have is I'd like to get it going sooner as opposed to later. If the engineer has no objection to it going 3 readings, that's fine. But sooner is probably better than later. So whatever he perceives should be done with that, I'm okay with it. But 3 readings, if that's fine, that's fine. What do you think, Dan? Do you think we ought to do it sooner as opposed to later?
Engineer Collins here. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would actually like to get that going, and I agree with you 100% sooner than later. If all possible, I would like to have that. And that's actually ordinance number 35-2020, I believe.
Sorry, I got confused.
That's quite all right. Yeah, 35-2020, if it's okay with yourself and Madam President and the members of council, if we can perhaps entertain passing that by emergency on first reading tonight. I think that would make everybody sleep a little better at night, knowing that we have the county out there immediately making sure that pump station is operational as we speak. We are having residents tie in, and if you recall, there's 30 properties on North Mary, and South Mary Lane that utilize that pump station. And I believe we have 1 or 2 people that have connected thus far. So We can't have that thing, not function. If something, catastrophic happens, we have to have the county out there full-time monitoring that. So emergency readings tonight would be great, Mr. Chairman. That's all. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Engineer Collins. Madam Chairman?
Councilman.
I don't have my notes in front of me who's doing that reading, but I wouldn't mind if we made it an emergency tonight. That's ordinance number 35-2020.
It's on for first reading, so we could assign it now. If you want to do the first, I'll do the second.
All right, I will do so. Thank you.
Thank
This
you.
is Delaquila. Are we going to amend to add the emergency provision?
Yes, we're going to amend it first and then have the first reading.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else, Chairman?
At this time, Planning, Zoning, Building, and Economic Development has no other business that it's aware of. Anything from any of the committee members?
Delaquila, no. I'm fine. This is Phil Curiatis.
Okay, anything from anybody, the rest of council? If not, I will end the committee meeting at 6:19. Can I get a second?
Second, Delaquila.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. We're out at 6:19. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chairman. This is Council President Stacy Kelly. We're going to move on to the Finance Committee at 6:19 p.m. First thing I have here in my folder, it looks like a request here for a software maintenance agreement with a new company called Warwick. This agreement is for, it looks like a proposed 36 months in the amount of $142,000 and change, 142,043. This would be replacing Bailey Communications. Are you on? Jen?
I'm sorry. Yes, I'm here. I couldn't hear you there.
Okay. Oh, sorry.
No, it's okay.
The furnace running in the background, so it's a little loud here. I have a couple of questions for you.
Sure.
Find it. Under this new agreement with Warwick, are we keeping our existing equipment, or is this a whole new purchase?
We use our existing equipment. The company we used currently, Bailey, we purchased equipment through them. Anything major we've purchased.
Okay. Okay.
I mean, there might be some small things or, computers coming down the road, stuff like that's not in the agreement. But those aren't in any agreements.
Is there a reason that we're going to just jump right into a 3-year contract instead of a 1 year? I mean, I'm sure it's more cost effective for 3 years, but
Correct.
what if after the 1st year we're in the same position we are now?
So we did go back and ask what kind of out we have with them, and all we need is a 30-day out, which would give us enough time to be onboarded by another company if that was the need anyways. So that's about the normal amount of time that we would, it takes to turn over to a new company. So they said you can go to a 3-year agreement. Our purchase order will only be for, 1 year at a time. The current annual cost of the contract that we're in right now is $53,000. So the monthly cost is $4,416 and some change. This would bring it down to $3,839 per month.
One thing that makes me leery is the fact that we've used them before and then we've replaced them. So I'm wondering why. You know, is it, I hate going backwards. So it's kind of like an old boyfriend you don't want to go back to. But why are we going back to them? Why do we replace? Do you know that? I don't know if you were here when this happened, or do you have a little background information on that?
Sure. Service Director Johnson handles the service department right now and had previously was working with IT. Before him, there was a different service director. Before him, there was a building director. So the previous service people that helped, the service director was the one that had worked with Warwick. And we did let them go, but it was mutual basically on both sides.
Okay, thank you.
Madam President, this is Mayor Biassiata. May I briefly?
Yep. Go ahead.
In my estimation, the removal of Warwick was political. No further comment.
Mayor, while I have you here, is this a budgeted amount? Do we have money set aside for this? I don't have the budget in front of me. I don't know if you know offhand.
We have Bailey budgeted for the full year,
Okay.
and that more than covers, because this is about $1,000 less a month.
Okay.
And this also has the 30-day out clause, and I would encourage action on this evening. There's been turnover in Bailey. Okay, a month or two ago, they lost a manager, which impacted the quality we're getting from Bailey. And then over the course of the last 6 weeks, they lost a couple workers. So we aren't really getting the support that we need to perform at the high level that we want to perform here at City Hall. So for those reasons, I encourage action. Also understanding that if things don't significantly improve over a short period of time with Warwick, council can authorize the mayor to send a letter to Warwick and give them their 30-day notice. Thank you.
Thank you. I understand where we're at, and I would definitely support an emergency action on this. We've had, several missteps in the past as far as our IT, even with the basic delivery of emails. So even at the basic, simplest process, we're having issues. And this is something that we all rely on and we need. Any questions or discussions from members of the committee?
Delaquila, no.
Councilman Martin?
Nothing at this time.
Okay. Anyone else from council have any questions or concerns on this?
Councilman Snitsky, can I speak for a moment?
Please, go ahead.
Mayor, I just want to make sure, like Councilman Kelly says, we seem to have gone through a lot of IT people, and your perception at this time is that Bailey is not supporting us effectively because of high turnover by their personnel, and that you feel that going back to Warwick is in the city's best interest, correct?
Yes.
Who is that a question addressed to? This is Mayor Biassiata.
That was addressed to you, Mayor. This is Councilman Snitsky.
Yes, this is Mayor Biassiata. I believe this is the best decision at this time. Warwick was with us 2 IT providers ago. We went over the FIT. Things weren't happening in a timely manner with FIT. We tried Bailey. It was less than perfect, but it's really, and we were exploring our options for like 3 months. And it's become more of an emergent matter over the last 6 weeks or so because of the turnover. So yes, I believe a move is warranted. Director Berger did research, contacted a few people at least, and this is what she felt was the best option, and I trust her judgment. So,
Okay, Mayor, that's good enough for me. Thank you very much.
Chairman, if I may.
Go ahead.
This is Jack Johnson. I've been with the city since 2012, and virtually every year that I've been here, there's been a different IT provider. And I think therein lies the problem. Some of you have made comments about that earlier, and I think therein lies the problem, is that we have not had consistency. So I think Bailey, when they initially came in, I think they did an excellent job with making sure that our network was secure. Jen can now process credit card transactions at the rec center in full compliance with all of the regulations regarding security. Our Wi-Fi network has been totally upgraded, and it's totally secure. Yes, we have had a few missteps with email, but we were having even greater missteps with email when Bailey came in. So Bailey sort of inherited an email mess, if you may. So I am familiar with Warwick. When I left here in 2015, Warwick was selected as IT provider. I come back in 2018 and it's fit. I have no idea what happened in that transition, but I would say that and because before Jen took this over, I started searching for firms that provide this kind of service. And you're going to spend way more than $50,000. So I think that to go back with a vendor that we're familiar with, and they're willing to do it for this price, it's worth the shot. You have the opportunity to cancel it if you're not happy with it, but I think that that's a part of the problem that we've been experiencing at least since 2012. Thank you.
Thank you, Director. Any further comments from council? Well, I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve it for the agenda. This is for Warwick IT Services in the amount of $142,043. That's for a 36-month contract, and that is on emergency.
Delacuilla, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Stacy?
Aye.
Is that Martin? Thank you. Okay, that is the proof for the agenda. Thank you, Jen, and for your work on that. I appreciate you looking into it.
Sure, thank you.
Okay. Nextly in my folder, I have some amendments here. This is for ordinance number 19-2020. I'm to send those to Councilman Snitsky for a reading. It looks like just some typos. Did you receive those, Tom?
Yes, I did, Councilperson Kelly, and I'm ready to make those amendments for you.
Okay, we'll wait until we get to the council meeting. Okay?
Okay.
All right. Okay, let me see what else I have here. Okay, this is from the mayor. It looks like he wants to move forward with Safe Built. That is the outsourcing of the building department. Mayor, you need to add this on. Well, this is on the agenda for this evening. You wanted to put it on emergency?
Yes, Madam President, it's Mayor Biassiata. Yes, I'm requesting the emergency clause for the reasons we discussed in last finance meeting 2 weeks ago. I'd like to add to that those points that we extended the advertising of our building commissioner for 2 more weeks for an Plain Dealer, Cleveland.com, Sun News, Ohio Building Officials Association, Building Officials Conference in Northeast Ohio, and professional website of Indeed. In an entire month of advertising, we've still got an win, and that person is a used car salesman that met 0 of the requirements of the ordinance. In addition, I got a call. We got an email back from a state of Ohio building official that runs one of the trade organizations that we've been advertising in. And he stated, you need to increase your salary requirements to spark more interest. Quote unquote, but anyhow, it's spring, it's busy. I had thought we'd voted in the last meeting to have the emergency clause on here. It's not, that's okay. But for these reasons, and it also has a 30-day out clause, so that we can begin to try outsourcing. Point of clarification, the chief building officer, the remaining employees are not being outsourced. The inspectors, the clerical stay, this is just for the chief building officer. Last week, I gave in detail financial analysis that this is offers competitive of what we are paying and would have to pay if we made a move to market. So I think the case is strong, and then we have the support of council, and we need a leader in that department during the busy season. For those reasons, I'm asking for the emergency clause to be added this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Any comments from the Finance Committee?
Delacuilla, no. Martin, no.
I have one comment. I'm not opposed to using safe built. The only thing that I would err in the side of caution is the fact that we just placed this on the agenda. It's a big ticket item. And in my eyes, we're almost doubling the cost of a building commissioner now. This current salary is at $73, and I understand that there's issues as far as hiring. But we still have feelers out there. We're still waiting for resumes. With this being placed on the agenda, I would say no to the emergency clause now and maybe entertain it on the next reading, just in case we have any residents out there that want to chime in and, have any comments on it. How does anyone from the Finance Committee object?
Sure, Martin. Yeah, I think time is of the essence. I think we've had an opportunity to have this introduced already, and the public's had an opportunity to have heard the comments and the proposals. I think comparing apples to oranges on the cost comparisons, you have to add in the overhead for the position as well, and you'll find, I think, when we go to the out-of-pocket costs in order to have a full-time employee with benefits is real similar to what we'll be doing on a third party, and yet get additional flexibility. So it is the end of May. If we hold this on the agenda again and have a reading or two or even three, it will be midsummer and beyond what the needs of the community need, which is now. Thank you.
This is Delacuilla. I think the mayor did say that there's a 30-day opt-out provision that we our option. So with that, I'm not uncomfortable with just putting an emergency on and getting the coverage that we know we need.
Did you say you are or you are not comfortable? I couldn't hear you. I'm sorry.
I'm comfortable with putting the emergency on because we do have that 30-day trigger.
Okay, very good. Okay.
Madam President.
Mayor, go ahead,
Mayor
please.
Biassiata. Do we want to hear from the rest of the council, or have you changed your opinion? Are you against the emergency at this time? I'll provide more information, if so.
Well, I think that, just for the reasons I stated before, in regards to Councilman Martin's comments, we're assuming that we're going to get someone in here that is going to utilize the benefits. Perhaps they will, perhaps they won't. That's an assumption. We don't know. We don't know, but right now, the cost of the building commissioner just doubled. So potentially doubled. I don't want to get ahead of myself, but, you know, what difference would it make? It could make a difference if you wait 2 more weeks and then put the emergency clause on it then. You may have, you know, that's just my opinion. That's just where I'm coming from.
All right, Madam President. This is Mayor Biassiata. Madam President,
Yes.
Mayor Biassiata. All right.
Go ahead.
First, in terms of the comments, this was introduced, I asked this to be introduced in the April 28th finance meeting. For some reason, it was heard in planning instead of finance. But in that meeting on the 28th, that was recorded and published, live streamed to the community. It passed 3-0. Administration's expectation that after it passed through the committee on April 28th, that it would be on the May 12th agenda. It wasn't. I did not ask for the agenda to be amended at that time because I believe having it on the agenda was important for transparency purposes. There was robust conversation again on May 12th in the Finance Committee. That was also live streamed to the public. And like I said in my email to council today, I believe that the topic of the need to move quickly came up and was voted on. I will apologize if that's not the case, but my recollection that this emergency debate was was discussed on the 12th. And so that brings us to today. So those are reasons. There's already been a delay. There's already been robust conversation. And the only, the proof is that we've did a wide search and haven't netted anyone yet. And last week when we talked about this in finance and in the need to move quickly, I stated some of the numbers, that we had 11 qualified applicants for finance director. We posted a secretary job earlier in the year that I decided to go in a different direction with. And in 2 weeks, we had 53 applicants for secretary. I think there's substantial proof that there's something wrong with how we're advertising. Okay, now the assertion's been made in this meeting today that we're doubling the cost. I do not agree with that estimate. If you look at the overhead, as Councilman Martin suggested, all those things are locked with the exception of health care. We're still going to have the arts review, which this will take a portion of. You still pay workers' comp, you still pay Medicare, you still pay OPERS. The only way that in those scenarios is this doubling. The big hitter, of course, is health care. And now we're making a potential assumption here that maybe we're going to get a retiree that isn't going to need health care. And in the meantime, we're in spring. So when we went over the pros and cons back on April 28th, I explained to council in a live stream meeting that this could be a twofold thing, that we can, and Councilman Delaquila recommended this, that we can bring this in on a short-term basis while we still advertise the position. So this is not certainly a position that we're locked into a long time. We've had 2 meetings prior to this where this discussion was robust, first in planning, then in finance. And it was my expectation that this was going to be on the agenda last week. Further, than my expectation coming out of the finance meeting of 2 weeks ago that the emergency clause was already on there. For all these reasons, I ask council to amend this agenda and support this initiative with an emergency measure this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Any other finance committee?
Yeah.
From council?
Councilman Elliott.
Councilman Elliott. Go ahead, please.
Thank you, Madam President. I agree wholeheartedly with Councilman Martin on this issue. We have a lot of projects like Myers and Rockside Road. Myers is already starting, and I think it's absurd that we don't have someone in the building that can look over these projects. I think it's imperative that we put this on emergency as soon as possible and get this thing through. We can always have opt out after 30 days if we do find a candidate, but judging by the responses that the mayor is saying we're not getting due to the salary, I don't see that happening in the near future. So we need to protect ourselves on this and put this on emergency tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Any other comments? Okay, we'll move on. Is there a motion to add ordinance 36-2020, add the emergency clause to that?
So moved. Delaquila. Second, Martin.
Okay, I'm sorry, who did the second? Norm?
Norm.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye. Aye, Martin.
Lee. Okay. Ordinance number 36, we'll amend that. We'll add the emergency. Norm, if you want to do the first, Delaquila the second, please.
Okay.
That'll be a motion to amend to add the emergency. Okay. What else do I have here? I have a NOPEC grant proposal. This was submitted this afternoon by Director Johnson. This is for, let's see, we need to get legislation completed and submitted to NOPEC by June 30th. This is in order to accept a grant in the amount of $34,972. Even if we're not going to use it right now, we need to accept it, and we could always put it in escrow. So with that, I'll make a motion to place this legislation on the agenda for the NOPEC grant to meet the deadline.
Delaquila, second. Oh, okay. Sorry, Norm.
Was that Norm at second?
Yeah, let Norm do it.
Okay, thank you. Motion to approve? Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Thank you. Okay. And, okay, lastly, I have a PUD charter amendment proposal. I did receive this afternoon, and I did send it to the members. And Mayor, I believe you have a copy, so does our law department. A couple weeks ago, the mayor and I met with individuals, Tom Simich and Bill Mason of Lansong. They are the developers there of the property by Vitalia. There is a parcel located over there. It's 3 parcels that total 2 acres. They've come to the mayor and me with a proposal. They want to change the zoning for that area. It's a 2-acre parcel, and they want to change it to accommodate food establishment. I did speak with Mr. Mason this afternoon. He indicated to me that they have had discussions with Chick-fil-A and with Raising Cane. There is no contract with either one of them, but they've had discussions. And they want to convert that property for a drive-through service. And as you know, the ordinances over there, the ordinance pertaining to that area, does not include a fast food service. So, but my question, I guess, Christine, did you receive this proposed ordinance?
Yes, I did.
Did you have a chance to review it?
This is Christine Tobin. Yes, I read through it once. I actually was in Mayor's Court for most of the afternoon doing pretrial, so I actually downloaded it at 20 minutes to 6 is when I first saw it.
Oh, boy. Yeah,
so I requires a review.
okay. Okay, so then you wouldn't be able to answer my question then. I'm wondering if a change it can be made just to the 2-acre parcel without it affecting the whole Rockside Road corridor that would go from the Independence line all the way to Crossview. Can we do that? Can we make a change to just the 2-acre parcel without it affecting that whole corridor? What I don't want to do is allow something like this to move into the area, into that corridor area, and it affects all the property going all the way down to Crossview. But we have a unique situation here where it's a 2-acre parcel. There's not really much that, of course, the builders say they can't do anything with. So with it being the situation it is, do you know what our options are, if any?
Madam President, this is Christine Tobin, the Assistant Law Director. If that's a question for me at the end there, which I take it is, I would just say that the proper course here would be to review what has been submitted, and do a proper review of it in light of the law and case law, etc., to be able to provide you with those answers, that insight as to whether or not such a thing could be done. I don't want to speak prematurely, only something that will be reviewed when this document's reviewed.
Okay. And I understand. I appreciate that. I received the documents late this afternoon, and then I received 3 copies of it. So the timing was not good.
Mm-hmm.
So if you could review that and let us know what the city's position is on that, so we can move forward one way or another. Is there any questions from the Finance Committee related to this?
Norm Martin.
Councilman.
I looked at the map of the proposed request, and I noted that it involved essentially 2 parcels and a third one is just a sliver that connects to another. But I noticed that it does not include the parcel that adjoins the Rockside Road. Is that purposeful, or is that already committed to? What might be the issue?
I am not certain. Mayor, can you answer that question? Do you know?
You know what? This is Mayor Bianciano. No, I cannot. I don't have a parcel map in front of me, nor either developer has shared those details.
Okay.
Madam President, this is Councilman Elliott. How many times? Yeah, I'm sorry. I met with the Simich Mason Group.
The mayor and I met with them. It was about 2 weeks ago.
It's only one. You only met with them once so far, then?
Yes.
Okay. I don't see how that would really affect it if we only allowed the approval of 2 of those parcels. It shouldn't affect the Rockside Road corridor at all. It is a separate entity from the Rockside Group. So I don't think there'll be an issue with that. But I would like can you give us any financials? Did they give you any financials of what this project's going to bring into the city if they put a Chick-fil-A or a Raising Cane or something like that in there? Do you have any numbers for us?
No financials were provided. We don't even know if it's permissible for them to even do it, or if it would be a valid issue. I don't know. That would be that would have to come from the department.
I understand that, but it would definitely be definitely be proactive to get some sort of financials on how these places are doing across the country. To get it approved to go on that site. I mean, some people think of fast food and, there's no money involved, and there is money involved in it. And I think it might be great for the city to actually have there, because I don't know who else would want to build on a 1 acre lot over there or a 2 acre lot. So just something to keep in mind for your next meeting. Maybe bring back some financials and give us an idea of what we're looking at. Thank you.
Madam President, this is Mayor Biassiata.
Yes, go ahead, Mayor.
I just shed a couple details on the. I had already had our legal representative, Chris Tobin, look into whether or not the council had the authority to change the PUD on this particular topic, and she did extensive and great review, and said no, this has to be issue. The charter that was passed many years ago that gave council the authority to create a PUD district expressly said one of the items that was forbidden. Council did not have the authority to allow fast food on this property, because the intent was the city wanted to develop the property with its highest and best use. Okay, so there's definitely to the ballot, and the ballot language on the proposal that you forward to us, President. I think it's on the last page. I don't see a number on it. I apologize. With the language that would go before the voters. The development group brought this to our joint attention, which was the proper way to handle it, because it has to go to the ballot, and there is a pending deadline, which is the first week of August. Okay? And to get 3 readings in, so we get full opportunity to hear from our residents on whether or not they feel it's a good idea to present this to the electors. That is why it's come forward at this time. What was conveyed from the developers is they've been trying to lease the property for at least 2 years, maybe more now at this point. And the only interest they had, because the road goes down the middle and it's such a small parcel, under 2 acres, has been a gas station, which certainly I don't think any of us would support, nor would the electors want. And the fast food. They have said that they had talks with Chick-fil-A. We, as a city, have not heard from Chick-fil-A, but we have heard from Raising Cane's. And Raising Cane's they are very interested in the parcel. They're very interested in Seven Hills. And they indicated to the city some year or 2 ago, so there hasn't been any recent meeting, I want to be clear, but they did present to the city a year or so ago their interest. They would conform to the design standards of the large parcel next to it. Okay? So there's, I just wanted to be completely transparent with council with all the information I had at my disposal at this time. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Mayor.
Madam President?
Yes.
Fellow Quill?
Rick.
Thank you. I think you hit on an important point here. When the city asked the voters to approve the PUD ordinance, not only did it set out the parameters for what could or could not be built on the site, it also set out the boundaries of the site. So I believe maybe a two-point question here. Should this particular portion of the site be permitted to have fast food with a drive-through, and should we exempt this parcel or these parcels from the overall PUD district? It may be, and I would defer to obviously the law department on this subject, it may be necessary to ask the voters to read boundaries of the PUD district to exclude this parcel, and then ask them to allow for whatever it is the developer wants to put in there. Remember, what we asked the voters to do back then is to define the parcels which would be included in the PUD district. But maybe, and again, I've only run across this subject in the last day. It may be necessary to take a look at whether or not the actual boundaries of the PUD need to be redefined, or in some way these parcels need to be exempted out, and that can only be decided by the voters, if at all. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Any further comments?
Madam President, Martin?
Councilman Martin.
Yeah, one snicker and then one. No, I'll do the real thing first, and then the snicker. I brought the issue about the parcels. Two of the parcels have a very similar number, and I was just concerned there was a typo, because it's like a parcel split down with a driveway, one parcel on one side, one parcel on the other. But if it included Rockside, I could understand that, making one big single parcel. And the second one, I have some financials for you. For Chick-fil-A, it's about $50 a week for my family. Thank you.
What was the last part about the financials?
About $50 per week for my family at Chick-fil-A.
This is Councilman Elliott. Thank you, Councilman Martin. I'll try to do the math in my head tonight with the thousands of people in the area. I don't know if they'd spend $50 a week, but if they do, that would be great. But that would be.
So moving forward, the game plan, I'm guessing, is that Christine, you'll research this and let us know, and we'll obtain some finance, see what, if we do move forward, what potentially we're looking at, what type of revenue for the city.
Madam President, this is Christine Tobin. I just wanted to point out one thing, too. The charter amendment deadline submission to the Board of Elections is actually September 4th. The August 5th date deadline is for zoning and other types of issues, ordinances.
So we would essentially have until September 5th, you said?
September 4th. Is the Board of Elections charter amendment filing submission deadline.
Okay. Okay, very good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, we'll wait to hear back from you on that, and hopefully we could, discuss this again at our next meeting if possible.
Absolutely.
Christine? Okay, thank you so much.
Yes, absolutely. Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Moving on. I have nothing further in my folder. Mayor, is there something you wanted to discuss in regards to a bond issue?
Yes. May I have the floor? This is Mayor Bianciato.
Yes, go ahead.
Thank you. We brought it up a couple months ago just to plant the... this year, bond initiative, the bond levy for the rec center is expiring. Okay? We've had past reports and we've commissioned new ones at legacy costs, roofs, air conditioners, etc., will continue. And it's in the best interest of the residents that this facility always maintains in top operational shape. Okay? So, what I'm proposing to council today is to put on the ballot in November an operating levy that will support our recreation center and our parks. Okay? The money generated from this levy would only be able to use in our parks and our recreation center for operating and capital expense. We wouldn't be able to use the money in any other part of the city. One of the reasons I'm proposing this the way it is recreation comes in many forms, not just our rec center. I think we've all identified desires for our parks, and this would be a way of dedicating revenue for solely those purposes. Okay? The current bond levy generates let's just reuse round numbers, $549,000 annually for the city at 1.65 mils. The annual tax paid by a homeowner, this is, on a $100,000 valuation, is $50.53. This proposal is for 1.4 mils, so we're reducing 2.5 mils. It would generate $466,000 a year annually, and the annual tax for a homeowner, based on a $100,000 market value, would be $49. So a very, very minimal decrease. So at that minimal, I would say what we'd call this is a no money renewal. There'll be no new tax money here. It's not a renewal. Strike that from the record. It'll be a no new tax money levy. Okay? No new money tax levy. $49 on a $100,000 valuation, an annual. Okay? I do believe this has the earlier filing deadline that Director Tobin mentioned, so we'd like to have this to the Board of Elections by the first week of August. Understanding that this is a no new money levy, I'd hope to get this on the ballot and begin the first of the 3 readings with the next meeting. Any questions from Finance?
Chairwoman Nora Martin.
Councilman.
I have reviewed the proposal. I think it's a valid plan. I think it's a good way of providing stable long-term funding for a recreational center, and it is a slight decrease in taxes, and that's good any time of the year for that. So I appreciate the efforts to be creative in the thinking of providing stable long-term financing at a reduced rate to the residents for a quality facility. So I will support it.
Councilman Delacuilla, do you have any comments?
I support it as well. We know that the operation of the rec center has continued to need our support. It's been a problem ever since I came into office. At that time, we were running close to $500,000 in deficits, and it's only been by cutting a lot of corners that we've been able to, at least financially, not in the service, we've been able to adjust. But it certainly makes operation of the rec center a lot more efficient, and we all know the condition of our parks. Our parks need attention. Our residents deserve facilities that they and their families can enjoy, and particularly since this is actually a slight reduction in existing taxes, I do support it.
Thank you, Councilman. Mayor, how long does this bond last? How is the length of it?
I'm proposing a continuing operating levy because the parks are always going to be there, and the shelf life of the recreation center is at least several more decades.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a bond issue. It's a levy. It's an operating levy.
Right. Okay. I think it's a win-win. We get to reduce the amount of the levy, while creating funds for the rec center and our parks. So I think it's a win-win. You have my support. Any further comments by council?
Madam President,
Councilman.
this is Councilman Kuriazis. I'm in total support of this. For the last 2 months when the rec center was closed, I had many residents ask me when the rec center was opening. I'm so glad to see it open back up today. So I know it's very important to keep the rec center up and going and keep it up to standard. And I also want to see the parks be kept up to the shape they're in, but even better if they can be. So I'm totally in support of this.
Thank you, Councilman. Any further comments?
This is Richard Pignatello. I have a question for the mayor. Mayor?
Go ahead.
As far as timing on this, it's a two-part process. First, you send off past legislation to the fiscal officer of the county and ask how much this will generate, even though we already know the answer. This is just part of the process. So I would recommend that we just pass that on an emergency so that they give us our answer quicker. And then the second part is you need to tell the fiscal officer that after you've gotten this amount, that we want them to go ahead and put it on the ballot for an election. Because if you did two separate ordinances like it's required, and you give each one 3 readings, I don't think there's enough time to get it on November. So this eventually goes to the ballot, and my recommendation.
Madam President, this is Mayor Biassiata. And thank you, Director Pignatello. When we met with our analyst and bond counsel, if that came up, I did not remember getting that directive, but it's duly noted. So you're basically saying there's 2 pieces of legislation that I need to request today. One is just to ask the county fiscal officer to do the projections. And then the other is the ballot, the meat and potatoes. Ask us on the ballot. That's correct?
Correct.
Okay. Duly noted. So I'll be asking, when we're ready for a motion, I'll be asking council to do 2 motions this evening. One, to put on the ballot, put on the agenda for first reading, the ballot proposal, and I would like a resolution asking the county fiscal officer for the projections, as Director Pignatello stated. And the request to the county fiscal officer, I'll request emergency because it's merely a formality. Thank you, Madam President.
Correct. Thank you. Okay. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and make a motion to add a resolution to the county fiscal officer for the projections needed for this upcoming no new money levy for a rec center and parks.
For a second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay. I'll make a second motion for the proposal. A motion to have the proposal for the no new money levy that will replace our expiring rec center bond issue for the rec center and park, and that will be on the agenda on emergency. Is there a second?
Oh, Madam President, maybe I misunderstood. This is Mayor Biassiata. It's so hard on the telephone. I don't know. The request to the fiscal officer needed the emergency, not the ballot initiative. We're going to
my mistake.
3 full readings on that, so our residents have plenty of time for input.
Okay. Okay, so...
This, Madam Chairman?
Yes, Richard.
Yes, the second one of these has to be back to the Board of Elections by August 4th.
Okay, so it's a timing issue.
We don't have as much time as we'd like, but plenty of time to do it.
Okay, so back to the resolution. This is for the county fiscal officer for the projections needed. That's on emergency. So I'll make a motion for that. It's the same one as before, but we're adding the emergency.
Bill Aquila, second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Martin, yes.
Okay,
Aye.
thank you. Okay. All right, we'll add that to the agenda, and then the second one was for the actual proposal itself for the no new money levy that replaces the expiring rec center bond issue to be placed on the agenda. That does not need the emergency, correct, Mayor?
Correct.
Okay. Motion is made.
Martin, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Martin,
Aye.
yes.
Okay, approved by all. Okay, thank you.
Excuse me, Stacy, this is the clerk. Rich?
Yes, Carol.
I could be wrong, but they call it a resolution of intent, and that has to be passed first, and the ordinance to proceed would come they can't be on the agenda at the same time.
Right.
Okay.
That's right.
I didn't know if council understood that. Be on two separate meeting agendas. First, the resolution of intent, and then we get our information from the county, and after that's submitted, we do an ordinance to proceed.
That's right.
Okay.
Madam President, this is Mayor Biassiata. Ma'am.
Mayor, go ahead, please.
Thank you, Carol. That does ring a bell. So, I don't think we need to change up anything, because I built in a couple weeks emergency buffer to this process. So for the agenda, June 9th agenda would be the resolution of intent. That's the one to the fiscal officer. And we've already made a motion for emergency, so we're good there. And then the June 23rd meeting, we can have the first reading of the ballot initiative. So no further motions needed, but I want to acknowledge Carol Sekarik's contribution is accurate, and we're still able to meet the August 4th deadline with 3 readings, because we have the last reading on the June 23rd, and then we have July 14th and July 28th. So we're still able to make this procedural happen and make the deadline. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Carol, for clarification.
You're welcome. Just wanted to make sure that you realized we can't have both pieces of legislation on the same meeting agenda.
So I already
Thank you.
talked to John Larson about this, so we've already got the ball rolling.
Okay. I have nothing further in my folder. Is there any other issues or any from the Finance Committee?
Madam Chair.
No.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Councilman Martin?
Not at this time.
Anyone from council? Anyone from administration?
Madam Chairman, Jack Johnson.
Yes, Director Johnson.
If I may, for a few minutes, during the budget hearings at the beginning of the year, we were posed with several questions regarding being able to provide maintenance history on some of our city vehicles. And I pointed out that we currently do not have a work order system that would allow us to do that. I asked our mechanic to research this subject, and we discovered there's a device that will allow us to schedule preventive maintenance utilizing current technology. This device will allow us to diagnose vehicles even while they're on the road, before they even stop running. I'm asking council to consider this, hopefully on the consent agenda as soon as possible. If an ordinance is required, I would ask that it be put on council agenda and considered as an emergency. The cost is about $35 a month per vehicle. We're counting about 23 vehicles, which would come to about $840 a month. This would not impact the general fund. This impacts our street fund. Some of our vehicles, some of the small vehicles are in the general fund, but the majority of this would impact. And in addition to providing us with where we're spending every dollar on every one of these vehicles, it also helps us to track the location of the vehicle. So when we get calls during snow season and during leaf pickup season, we have answers for residents as opposed to saying we think they're in certain areas. So I would strongly urge council to consider this, upgrade in technology so that we can services to our residents. Thank you, Madam Chairman.
Thank you, Director. Any further comments?
Madam President, it's Mayor Bianciata.
Yes, Mayor.
I do have a very, very quick executive for collective bargaining.
Okay. All right. Who needs to be in this?
For the interest of saving time, I'm okay with my directors and officials. We'll just temporarily. Jenner, Todd, please stop the broadcast.
Wait.
Yep.
Take a motion.
Oh, after we make the motion, once we officially go in, but I'll keep everyone on so that we can quickly resume activities.
Okay. All right, I'll make a motion for executive session for collective bargaining at 7:20. Is there a second?
Second, Delaquila, second.
Roll call, Martin.
Yes.
Councilman Delaquila.
Yes.
Stacy Kelly, yes. We are in executive session at 7:20.
He's almost back. Yep, all set.
Thanks, Jen. We're going to reconvene finance at 7:32. Do I have any additional comments from the Finance Committee?
Martin, I have none.
Delacuilla, no.
Thank you. Any comments from council? Any comments from the administration? Okay, I'm going to make a motion to adjourn the Finance Committee at 7:33 p.m.
Delacuilla, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Martin, aye.
Thank you. Finance is out. We are done with our committees. We're going to move forward with our council meeting.
Can we tell him stop?
Okay. Council meeting beginning at 7:33 p.m.